Hello Internet, Ben here with a little mysterious space update. I haven't done like I don't know, I used to do like these regular little updates, and I feel like recently I've just done these huge long things that probably no one's going to watch. So this is actually perfect though, because I did an early release, about a week ago. The end of the month is coming up, so there actually isn't like a whole lot to show, but I have added a couple things, so I'm going to put those into the release this month. Let me just show you the changelog real quick before I show off the new ship. Spoiler alert, new ship. So there's been a few more fixes, including this one I thought I had fixed last update, but then I looked at the code and was like, how did I think I fixed this? I don't see any evidence of my fixing it, and I'm seeing code that I don't know. I made a change somewhere, and I don't know. Anyway, so hopefully this is fixed for realsies. The tutorial has been updated to have more excitement, and I'm trying to remember. No, I have not shown that off. So let's do that. I'll just have to. Here, let me reset the. I still need a way to edit the settings on this main menu, right? That clearly isn't here. That new question menu also I will talk about later. That's not going to make it into the release this month. There's just not enough time. I want to make sure I've cleaned up the bugs. But let's kill two birds with one stone. Let's try out this new ship. It's been added to the game. You unlock it not with blueprints. You don't unlock with blueprints. I'm not going to say. You unlock it by playing the game. Play the game and you'll unlock it. And in fact, it's retroactive. So some people may already have met the conditions to unlock the ship, and so they'll just have it when they start playing. The game currently makes no special announcement about the fact that it's been unlocked. I don't really know how to work that in, so I probably just won't worry about it. You'll start a new game and be like, oh, there's a new ship, and that's fine. It can be mysterious as to how you got it. I don't know. And I really do. I need to add some sort of messaging or something to alert you to the fact that you've collected this new ship. I just haven't figured out how to do that yet. So I'll worry about that later. But anyway, new ship. This is going to require some balancing. So right now, look at this. Let me talk about this a little bit. So requires only 2 fuel. You're like, oh, good, that sounds good. But you'll face more enemies. Okay, that sounds like a trade-off. Here's the truth. Requiring only 2 fuel is not an advantage. Because as a roguelike, you're going to want to explore the whole planet anyway in order to find, where's your little upgrade ship. You'll probably want to pick up the items. Which means you're going to cover the whole surface of the planet, so really you'd want to collect 3 fuel anyway. And in fact, you get less points by collecting less fuel, because fuel is worth points. And then having more enemies means that you're just going to fight more stuff as you go. So, and I didn't think about that when I initially designed it. So this is not the final set of stats or whatever you want to say for this ship. There's going to have to be some changes, and I don't know exactly what those are going to be. It might be just getting a bigger hull, whatever. I also, though, don't mind having ships that are, a little harder or a little easier. Like, that's fine too. If you want to choose your difficulty level through your ship choice, that's awesome. So I wouldn't mind if this ends up being sort of a challenge kind of ship. But at the same time, it shouldn't just be completely stupid. Like, that shouldn't be the only possibility. You should be able to have fun with it. And so the thing here is obviously that you could, you might be able to get through levels much more quickly, get the 2 fuel, get out. And so this might be useful for maybe a speedrun sort of situation. I don't know if that's something people are interested in doing with Mysterious Space, because the risk of death is so great, and the randomness, makes speedrunning. It's kind of a suboptimal, right? So there's a lot up to chance as to whether or not you're able to get through it quickly. On the other hand, that hasn't stopped people from doing other roguelikes, speedruns for other roguelikes. But anyway, so with that in mind, that's the only reason I can think, with these current stats, why you might play this ship. So I think I'm going to look into other ways to kind of fit that niche. Again, I would like each ship to cater to a specific play style. This guy is for if you don't want to deal with the alien artifact identification stuff, and gives you some other little tweaks. So I would, and we have the other ship that's like good at ramming, so that's if you want to do, I want to ram into enemies, don't want to have to dodge them, whatever, if that's the play style you want. And if you want to do a speedrun play style, then I hadn't even considered that as a possibility, but when I made this I realized that's the only thing it's really good for. So I'd like to kind of solidify it as really like, this is a ship for doing speedruns, if that's your goal. So maybe giving it faster movement speed would help. There might be other things I can do to make it good for speed running. So anyway, let's go ahead and try it out and do the new tutorial. Blah, blah, blah. Let's do some flight exercises. We can shoot. Unfortunately, there isn't anything out here to practice shooting at. So this is normal so far. I'll create several holograms, practice moving at them. Oh, wait. And so this I just haven't done. The little pound signs on either end mean this is an untranslated string, so that's fine. I'm not going to have this available in French and German up front, unfortunately, just due to the time. But anyway, there's a web. So what the tutorial used to be, right, is that you would just shoot at those little holographic asteroids, like she mentioned, and then that was it. And she was like, "Okay, congratulations, you pressed the fire button, you look good." That was kind of boring, and there's kind of two reasons for doing this. One, I want to show you what fighting is like, because that is an important aspect of the game, you know, dodging shots and all that sort of thing. And also, it does put more excitement in the very beginning to kind of hopefully, you know, get you hooked to be like, oh, I'm going to be, you know, fighting stuff. Cool. So hopefully that is more exciting. This ship also, so you can see it doesn't really move. It's also shooting two kinds of bullets. The one is easy to dodge. The other is homing. Most things do not shoot homing bullets, but on the other hand, there are enemies that home in on you, and so I thought that was a good thing to include. Yeah, I do feel a little weird about that, though. There's only one boss in the game, and it is a boss. You might not even encounter it in a playthrough. A mini-boss, I guess I should say, who shoots those homing missiles at you. Nothing else in the game does that. I mean, there are bees that chase after you, and anyway, it's made me realize that maybe I'll add, you know, just normal little enemies that shoot homing missiles or something else to kind of get you used to the concept. But anyway, here's this little dialogue bit. You might wonder what happens if I die during this tutorial, right? And there is a thing that happens if the ship starts messing you up too much and your armor gets below half. Then she says, "Oh, I've hacked into the ship," and shut it down or something, and then it just sits there and isn't shooting at you anymore. And then regardless, she tells you this information that's not really important. It's, I don't know, silly, you know, world building kind of stuff. And then we get back to the normal, and now this is again normal, or sorry, I should say like the previous tutorial, right, as she closes up with, "This is the last maintenance check, so let's shut down." You go, "Okay, let's shut down." So really, I just removed that shoot at the asteroid and put in a little mini boss fight with some funny little world building in there, and I hope that's going to be a lot better. I think it's definitely more interesting. Whether or not the fight is perfect at training you or not, you know, I'll certainly work on those things in the future. Nothing is fixed. So anyway, let's go through with this new little ship. Actually, let me talk to you about the thing that the mysterious menu item. So that is something I was hoping to get done for this update, but I haven't had time. I've been, you know, being social and everything else. So the new menu item is going to be for a new feature to add a little more growth between playthroughs. Like right now, you can unlock, you know, like ship upgrades or ship blueprints, you know, to play with different ships, and that's cool. But I would like something a little more concrete, I guess. Something that's a little more clearly, oh, I'm gaining an advantage, you know, for playing repeatedly. So I'm going to have you pick up. So first of all, the menu item is going to be where you build a pilot, and the pilot then you'll choose along with the ship. During character creation, you'll say, okay, I want to go in with this pilot, and this pilot has these stats. But you get to build the pilot to have whatever little stats you want, and you'll build the pilots by using pieces that you find through the game that will be added permanently. So it'd be like blueprints, I guess. I'm not sure what I'll call them, but for your pilot. And so there'll be little things like all of your shots deal, you know, a little more damage. I'm not sure exactly about the amount. You know, I was tempted to say +1 damage, but that would probably be too little, right? I mean, the difference from 50 to 51 is not going to be significant. And then, you know, you'd stack up multiple of these, so maybe you'd stack on multiple of the plus whatever damage. You know, let's say it's +5, and and you're allowed to have up to 5 of the same effect or something. So you get, you know, oh cool, +25 more damage on all my shots. That's cool. And then maybe you also find things like, oh, plus, you know, 5% speed or something, and so you stack a bunch of those on. Again, I don't know what the numbers are going to be, but that's how it'll be. You'll pick up these parts, and then you'll use the parts to build pilots. And again, you can have as many pilots as you want. I mean, within reason, I'll probably have a limit of. I mean, there doesn't have to be a limit other than at some point you there's memory limits, right, at some point, although those would be rather huge. But, the limit could be, I don't know, 100 or something, something reasonable, something manageable. Really, the limit we're going to hit before computer memory is your memory, right? Like, how many of these can you actually intelligently keep track of and build? So anyway, you'll build those pilots, and then every time you start a game, you say, okay, I want this pilot, and then I want this ship, and so that'll give you even more customization, and then you could build, maybe you build a pilot that's good for speed running by giving him more movement speed, or whatever. Let me find the fuel and take the opportunity to test out this new ship. I haven't really tested a whole lot. I have tested collecting 2 fuel and leaving. I'm pretty confident that's going to work unless there's a weird, like, I don't know, some specific situation where for some reason it doesn't work. But I think it's going to be fine. But let's go ahead and find it. Excellent. Here's 1 piece of fuel, and here's 2 pieces of fuel. Okay, those were uncommonly close. I wondered because there wasn't a whole lot of space left on the map unexplored. Good. And then we get out of here with only 2 fuel. If you play a 2-player game and one of you needs 3 fuel and the other needs 2, then you will need a total of 5, or if you both only need 2, then you need a total of 4, so it adds all that stuff up correctly. Also, if you play 2 of these ships that need only 2 fuel but have more enemies, then there will be even more enemies. And the effect is kind of subtle, especially in the beginning levels, but I think you'll find, especially in later levels, that you are getting hit with more enemies more frequently. For one, I think the kind of the most obvious change is the maximum number of enemies allowed kind of in the world at the same time. I think in the very early levels it restricts it to having only 2, maybe 3, I think, where there can only be 2 or 3 enemies following you, chasing around at a given time. And that's increased based on number of players. But as time goes on, it increases that maximum. And so what this ship essentially does is pretends as if you've been playing the game for 5 minutes that you haven't been. And actually now I'm actually slightly concerned. So this says I took 6 minutes. Let's try and do a level real quick. And I'm gonna time it and make sure that it didn't time. So let's see, it's 3:24:20. All right, let's go. 3:24. You got that? 3:24. And let's go ahead and find a couple fuel and see if it. Hopefully it's not adding 5 minutes. It's fortunate that I was looking at that screen while I was explaining that, because I only just now, I hadn't thought that bug could possibly exist. So let's take a look. Gosh, these slowing guys are not helping me. Oh, what? Man, these are really close to each other. Okay, give me that crate. Come on. Yeah, I still haven't fixed that funny bug. Did you see the... Okay, here it is. Yeah, stop shooting your nonsense. Alright, so I said 3:24:20, right? So if this says anything more than like a minute, then it's adding 5 minutes, and it's not supposed to. Then yeah, okay, good. And it is 3:25:20. It actually seems to be counting a little bit fast. I didn't even notice that before. But anyway, it didn't add 5 minutes, which is good, because, so again, what it does is it, in terms of how frequently enemies can spawn and how many can be on the screen at the same time, it counts as if you've been in the level for 5 minutes for determining those sorts of values, which is pretty significant, because again, I beat a level in like 2 minutes, so having that 5-minute jump is pretty big. And again, I don't know if that's going to be the final number. I'm going to want to tweak that stuff. But it does take a while for the time to make a difference, and that's because what's more important is how deep into the sector you are. Like, I think every 2 levels is probably the equivalent of having 5 extra minutes of having spent 5 minutes, 2 levels ago. Did that make sense? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so there's a preview of the new ship. I forget what I called it. Risky Ras Al Ghathi or something? I don't know. I looked up some star name. It's I forget. It was like the head of the Archer guy, maybe? I can't think of anything. I can't think about these things and talk at the same time. It just doesn't work. But regardless, so we've got the new ship and the new tutorial, and I really need to spend these last couple days testing everything, making sure it works, doing some rebalancing on this guy, and so that means I'm not going to have the pilot customization stuff ready for the end of this month, but definitely for the month afterwards. And yeah, and that's good. That'll give me plenty of time to think of all sorts of crazy effects, because, giving like +5 damage per bullet or whatever, like, okay, that's good, but I would like to have, interesting interaction sorts of things, like, I don't know, there's a lot of items in the game that currently interact with temporary shields. Whenever you get a temporary shield, it's a little stronger. Whenever you get slowed, you get a little temporary shield, whatever. There are other, possible interactions that the game could have, like maybe you get a little pilot thing that says whenever you're slowed, you recover a little armor for I don't know what reason. Anything. I'd like to try and come up with more of those interesting little interactions, to make it, again, more interesting than just a straightforward plus whatever. That stuff's easy to implement, but it's not that interesting to think about, or build. So anyway, thank you as always for watching and playing and everything. Also, sorry about the bugs recently. That's part of the reason I did the early release this month, is because there were a lot of bugs that I had introduced, and I found some more. So yeah, it's an ongoing thing, and it's fantastic that you guys are sending in crash reports. It's so useful. So to everyone doing that, thank you very much. The screenshots as well. And I've started looking through the comments that are in other languages. Someone had a comment in Japanese and in Spanish, and those didn't have bug reports. But I'm looking. Use Google Translate, whatever, to figure out what people are saying and find any issues or good things, and make sure to try to emphasize those good things, as well as minimize the bad. So anyway, thank you again, and goodbye.